Hello everybody, how are you? Hello everybody, how are you? It is time to start our day. It is time to work and play. Hello everybody, how are you? Hi everyone and welcome back and happy Earth Day. A day early. Tomorrow is Earth Day, but we're going to celebrate today because today is our meeting day. So happy Earth Day. What does that mean? What do we do on Earth Day? Do we decorate a tree? Carve a pumpkin? Do fireworks? What do we do to celebrate Earth Day? The best thing you can do is take care of our earth. There are lots and lots and lots of different things you can do to take care of our earth, and we're going to talk about some of them today. But first, we're going to read a story about our earth. In fact, it's called Our Earth. And there's a child sitting on top, laying on top of the earth. I want you to notice something from the picture before we go on, because we're going to come back to that in a little bit. What colors on the earth do you see? I see a lot of blue and some green. What is the blue on our earth? Do you know? That's the water. And what's the green? The land. We'll come back to that. Remember that in your brain. We're coming back to that. Oh, here's another picture in the back. Another picture of the earth. Lots of blue again and some green. Okay, let's find out what our earth is all about here. Our earth is where I live. It's a big, round globe. So we all live on this planet. And then we've been learning about the continents. Here are some of the continents. We live on a continent, in a country, in a state, in a town, and some of us live in houses, some of us live in apartments. We all live in different places, but we're all part of the same earth. It has a frozen North Pole at the top and an icy South Pole at the bottom. Our earth was shaped by water, fire, ice, and living things. It is always changing, but just too slowly for us to see. Kind of like, you know how you grow a little bit every day, but we don't see it happen because it happens so slowly. Our earth is always changing, but we can't see it because it happens so slowly, but water makes a big part of that change. Once, our earth was covered with warm water. Some dinosaurs lived in its warm and ferny swamps. Then, our earth turned cold. Huge sheets of slowly moving ice called glaciers crept across the earth and wore rocks smooth. Glaciers are still moving in places on Earth today. Oh, speaking of continents and countries, the biggest pieces of land on Earth are continents. Their shorelines meet the sea. Islands are smaller pieces of land that rise up out of the sea. Some islands are born when volcanoes erupt below the sea. Hot lava cools, and over time it turns to soil where green things can grow. Some islands are coral reefs that grow and grow until they poke above the water, and birds bring seeds to them. Water gushing up from the ground and rain and melted snow fills streams, ponds, and lakes. Now, if we didn't have that water, the bears would have nothing to drink. The animals in the wild just wouldn't have anything to drink. Streams flow into small rivers, which flow into bigger ones. Nothing can stop water from finding its way. When water is moving, it's moving. You can't make it stop necessarily. Some rivers dry up and stop flowing, but some empty into a salty sea. The land on our earth has rounded hills that enclose green valleys. There are many forests on our earth. Rainforests are full of flowers and birds and monkeys jumping through green-leafed trees. There are hot sandy deserts where lizards live and prickly cacti grow. There are dark, damp caves that go far down into the earth. There are tall canyons carved by years and years of rushing water. There's the water again, making changes and making things happen on the earth. There are high snow-capped mountains reaching up to the clouds in the sky. One big round earth is our big round earth is very beautiful. It is my home and it is yours. That's the end. So if we want our earth to stay beautiful, we have to do our part to take care of it. The way we can do that, and this is what we celebrate on Earth Day, is by, first of all, not making too much garbage. If you don't need to use something, don't use it. If you are going to sit down and have your dinner with your family, how many napkins do you think you need? Probably just one. Just use what you need. Don't use extras, okay? Then when you're done with something, sometimes you have to use stuff, and then sometimes you do have to throw it away. There are some things that have to go in the garbage, but many things can have different solutions besides throwing them in the garbage. I bet you guys all recycle. If your family recycles, raise both your hands and shake them. Do you guys recycle? That's awesome. My family recycles. We recycle our newspapers, our cans, our bottles, things like that. We can also reuse some of that stuff. I'm going to show you in a second a way to reuse a newspaper. Normally I recycle my newspapers, but together we're going to reuse one today. You can reuse cardboard. We've reused a lot of boxes together, haven't we, that I've gotten in deliveries. We've made different things with those throughout our time together. So we can recycle, we can reduce how much we're using, and we can reuse what we're doing. Those words all start with what letter? Do you know? Recycle, reuse, reduce, all start with the letter R. Those are 3 R words to remember to help make our earth a healthier, more beautiful place. So today we are going to, like I said, we're going to reuse one of my newspapers instead of just putting it in the recycling bin. We're going to reuse it to our project. So if you have a newspaper, you can grab that. It doesn't have to be a newspaper, it can be something else. But I had some newspaper in my house, so I took one and I put a plate on my newspaper about this size, because what shape is a plate? It's a circle. So I took my plate and I traced it with my pencil. I traced it with my pencil, so when I pulled it away, I would see a circle. Then I took my scissors and I cut around what I had traced, and I was left with a circle piece of newspaper. Now, the reason I did a circle is because what shape is our earth? It's a circle. This one's a little bit bigger than this picture. And again, this is where those colors are going to be important for us. What colors do you see there? The green and the blue. The green was the land and the blue is the water. Let me pull my easel over. We could do a little art project together. We are going to paint earths together. So I already showed you how we began. I took a piece of big newspaper, put a plate on it and traced it, cut it out, and I was left with a circle. So how am I going to turn that into an earth? How am I going to make this circle look like an earth? We already said what the colors were, do you remember? Blue and green. So I have some paints ready to go, blue and green, but I'm going to paint a little differently today. Instead of using Q-tips, my fingers, a paintbrush, or anything like that, I am going to use more newspaper. I have this sheet here that I'm going to take, and I'm just going to simply crumple it up into a ball, try to make it tight so it stays closed, and I'm going to use this as my paintbrush today, kind of like a stamper or a paintbrush. Now, the earth is mostly water, so I want a lot of blue on mine. So I'm going to dip into my blue first. And I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to dip it into my blue, soak up some paint. Then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to start painting. I can either brush it on, or like I said, I can go like a stamper. And all the water isn't all together, is it? It's kind of spread out. So I'm going to put some there. I'm going to put some over here. Put some over here. You can make yours look however you want. It doesn't have to look like our picture of the earth. It doesn't have to look like the globe. All right, now let me take another one, crumple it up, because now I'm going to get my green. And put this in my green paint, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to fill in. And look at that. It's starting to look like the earth, isn't it? Get some more green. Go here, here, maybe a little bit more here. And I have my very own earth that I made out of using something that I already had in my house. I already had the newspaper. I've reused it to do an art project. Then after I've hung this up for a while and I'm done with it and I want to take care of it, what should I do with it? Should I throw it in the garbage? Should I go outside and just throw it in the ground? Should I go outside and throw it in water, like in a lake or something? That's never a good choice. No, I'm going to put it in my recycling bin. And then the recycling truck will come and take it, and they can make all kinds of cool things with our recycled products. That's one way that you can help the earth. You can reduce, you can reuse, you can recycle. Art projects are a great way to reuse different things. You can create, you can be as creative as you want, come up with all different things to use them for. It's always one of my favorite things is to take products I already have around my house, things I already have, and reuse them for our projects. But there's another thing you can do to help take care of the earth. I want to introduce you to somebody. So I'm going to push my earth out of the way. Have fun making your earths today, you guys. I hope you all take some time and make an earth and try to take care of our earth a little bit today. Here's one way, like I said, that you can do it. I have a friend. You ready to meet him? He's going to bzzz. This is Barry. This is Barry, and he is a bee. How many of you guys are afraid of bees when you go outside? It's okay to say you are. Bees can be kind of scary because if a bee were to sting you, it would hurt. And some people do have reactions to that. It would hurt. There's no denying that. It does hurt a little bit. However, I don't want you to be too scared of bees because bees are actually really important for our earth. They are very important. And I've got a book. Barry's going to sit down here. I've got a book to share with you that tells us a little bit about why bees are important. This book says, can you read it with me? I am a bee. And this guy's going to tell us a little story. You ready? I am a bee is the title of this book. I am a bee. There are many types of bees. I am a honeybee. I collect sweet nectar from flowers so I can make delicious honey. I also help plants make seeds through pollination. I'm part of a colony with a whole bunch of other honeybees. We're like one big family that works really hard together. My colony lives in a hive that is made of wax and special bee glue called propolis. Our hive is our house. Sometimes we like to build hives in trees, fallen logs, caves, or even between rocks. Choosing a safe place to build the hive is really important. There are lots of animals around that would love to eat bees or gobble up our honey. In a colony, every bee has a job to do. First, there's the queen bee. Her job is to make eggs. Next are the drone bees. Their job is to help the queen make eggs. Last but not least are the worker bees. That's what I am, and we have a whole bunch of jobs to do. As a young bee, my first jobs were to keep the hive clean and feed and take care of the colony. Luckily, worker bees are really good at working together and helping each other. As I grew, so did my jobs. Once my body was able to make wax, I became a builder. I made sure there were enough rooms for all of the baby bees and extra space to store lots of pollen and nectar that would be made into honey. By flapping our wings or vibrating our bodies, worker bees keep the hive at a perfect temperature, not too hot and not too cold, so wax can be shaped, glue can be spread, and honey can be made. So they don't need heaters, they don't need air conditionings, they create their own temperature inside their hives with their bodies. Worker bees guard and protect the hive and the colony inside. As a guard, I had to be on the lookout for other insects and animals that might want to steal honey or damage the hive. Now that I'm an older bee, I have a new job. I am a forager. Bees usually never leave the hive unless there's an emergency or if they're foraging to find food and water. So what that tells me is if I see a bee out in the world in my garden or somewhere else, the only reason they're out there is because they have an emergency or they're looking for food or water. They're not out just to look for me to sting me. They're out there because they have a job to do. Being a forager is a really important job. I fly away looking for patches of blooming flowers that have lots of delicious pollen and sweet nectar. Nectar is a sugary juice and pollen is a yellow dust. They're both my favorite foods. I crawl inside a flower and load up as much as I can carry. I have a special pouch in my stomach for carrying nectar, and I have pollen baskets on both of my back legs for when I'm carrying extra pollen. How cool is that? He's got built-in baskets that he can carry it. Do you see the pollen baskets right there? He's carrying some. Pollen is really sticky, and I always end up covered in it. That makes plants happy because when I fly to the next flower, I drop pollen, which helps plants make seeds. Scientists call this pollination. Lots of seeds mean more vegetables, fruits, and pretty flowers for everyone. So bees are really important, aren't they? They help us get the food that we need. If I come across a big patch of flowers, I fly back to the hive and I tell the other foragers how to find it. by doing the honey bee waggle dance. Round and round I go, wiggling and waggling. Storing lots of honey for winter is really important. When it's cold, honeybees stay inside the hive, eating the stored honey and flying close together in a big, tight circle to keep warm. We make enough honey to last the winter and to share with people just like you. Scientists say bees like me are really helpful to people. Because we move pollen from plant to plant, we're part of the reason there are so many delicious fruits, vegetables, and nuts to choose from at the grocery store. Foragers fly all over the place. Sometimes that can cause us big problems. When we fly into places where people have sprayed chemicals to get rid of other bugs, it makes us get sick too. Chemicals can also drift into our hive, making it an unhealthy place to live. People can help bees by not using chemicals that make bees sick. You can help by sharing what you've learned about honeybees with family, friends, and in your classroom. All right, so the things we've talked about today, go tell other people so they know that bees are very important. And then we'll stop doing things to make them feel sick. Wasn't that a neat book? I really appreciate that book because it teaches me a lot about bees and how important they are. When you're outside, like I said, it's very okay to feel afraid when you see a bee, but remember that bee isn't out there hunting for you. That bee is out there because there's been an emergency in their hive or because he's looking for food or water. So if you do your thing and you let them do their thing, you should be just fine. You guys, thank you for coming along for Earth Day today. I'd like to see you make your earths like this, and I'd love to see you go out there and take care of the earth. If you see garbage on the ground, take care of it. Put it in recycling if you can, or put it in a garbage can. Don't leave it out where animals can get into it. If you are brushing your teeth, turn off the water so you can save some water, because remember how important our water and our streams and our rivers are. Do everything you can today to make good choices for our earth, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.